Hello and welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Nawreen. In today's bulletin, we will present top and trending news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Trump pleads not guilty to 34 charges, admonished by judge. Marjorie Taylor Greene storms ahead of Trump's surrender, gets whisked away. U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy confirms he will meet Taiwan President in California. Hillary Clinton is the person Putin feared most, Nancy Pelosi says. U.S. is providing Ukraine with $2.6 billion in military aid. Tennessee House moves to expel 3 Democrats after gun protest. Ivanka Trump's marriage to Jared Kushner falling apart amid Daddy Donald's indictment. Seven CDC workers fell ill investigating train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Former top aide to Maryland governor dead after manhunt. Webby Award nominations for Harry Styles, Lizzo, Post Malone. Finland joins NATO in historic shift. Russia threatens countermeasures. Massive fire guards popular clothing market in Bangladesh capital. Avalanche sweeps away tourist in northeast India, 7 killed. UConn wins March Madness with 76-59 smothering of SDSU. Kentucky high school football player dies after head injury. And Jill Biden warns champions LSU and Iowa at White House. You were listening to Headlines Now News in detail. Former President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty Tuesday to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records arising from a hush money payment to a porn actor during his 2016 campaign, according to 2 law enforcement officials familiar with the matter. The plea came during a history-making arraignment in a lower Manhattan courtroom, with Trump becoming the first former president in U.S. history to face criminal prosecution. The 2 officials who confirmed the plea spoke on condition of anonymity to the Associated Press because prosecutors had not yet released the indictment publicly. The arraignment, though procedural in nature, amounts to a remarkable reckoning for Trump after years of investigations into his personal, business, and political dealings. The case is unfolding against the backdrop not only of his third campaign for the White House, but also against other investigations in Washington and Atlanta that might yet produce even more charges. A silent and stone-faced Trump, his lips pursed in apparent anger, entered the courtroom shortly before 2:30 p.m. He left court about an hour later, also without commenting. Before the arraignment, he narrated his feelings in real time, describing the experience as surreal as he traveled from Trump Tower to Lower Manhattan to face a judge. It represents the new split-screen reality for Trump as he submits to the dire demands of the American criminal justice system while projecting an aura of defiance and victimhood at celebratory campaign events. Hundreds of onlookers, protesters, journalists, and a few attention-seeking politicians swarmed the lower Manhattan courthouse where former President Donald Trump was scheduled to be arraigned Tuesday afternoon. A morning rally for Trump in support of the ex-president had been expected to draw numbers, including headlining Speaker Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. The Republican lawmaker arrived amid the chaotic crowds of pro- and anti-Trump supporters, where she delivered brief remarks. Shouting through a small handheld megaphone, Greene's message to Trump supporters was essentially drowned out by the suffocating crowd of people and media gathered outside. Security whisked her away a few minutes later. In an interview posted online, Greene said she planned to speak with media from a car and accused counter-protesters of assault for blowing whistles and shouting as she spoke. Whistles, NBC News reported, were being handed out by a Trump supporter. "We are here to make noise." On Monday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams handed down a warning to Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene after she said she plans to appear at a pro-Trump rally in New York on the day of the former president's arraignment. "Be on your best behavior," he said. The controversial Republican, known for her extremist viewpoints, had brief support from Representative George Santos, who appeared among the courthouse chaos half an hour before the rally's official start time. He left around 10 a.m. with no plan to return. During his blink and you will miss it appearance, the Long Island politician criticized Bragg and expressed his support for Trump. "I'm not here for the cameras," he insisted to reporters. "I want to support the president just because I think this is unprecedented and it's a bad day for democracy." Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen will meet with U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Wednesday. The Republicans' office has confirmed, in defiance of warnings from Beijing that such a meeting would be a provocation. Tsai is scheduled to make a stopover in California after state visits to Belize and Guatemala, Taiwan's last remaining Central American diplomatic allies. McCarthy's office said on Monday the bipartisan meeting would take place at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library outside Los Angeles. In response, China's LA consulate on Tuesday said that it firmly opposed Tsai's U.S. transits and that the meeting was not conducive to regional peace, security, and stability. The meeting will greatly hurt the national feelings of 1.4 billion Chinese people and undermine the political foundation of China-US relations, a consulate spokesperson said in a statement. The spokesperson said China would resolutely and vigorously defend national sovereignty and territorial integrity. As Speaker of the House of Representatives, McCarthy is the most senior Republican lawmaker and is second in line to the U.S. presidency, after Vice President Kamala Harris. Russian President Vladimir Putin feared Hillary Clinton the most, according to Nancy Pelosi. The former U.S. House Speaker claimed Mr. Putin interfered in Ms. Clinton's 2016 election campaign because she supported American democracy. Ms. Pelosi made the comments at the Columbia School of International and Public Affairs on Monday, while speaking about global politics, national security, and the backsliding of democracy. It was her clarity and position to Mr. Putin that made him turn around and ensure in an illegal way come out against her in her campaign, Ms. Pelosi said. Interference in our democracy by Vladimir Putin, because Hillary Clinton was the person he feared most in terms of his lack of democracy in Russia. Ms. Clinton has praised Ms. Pelosi before. The former presidential candidate and Secretary of State had told CNN last year that Ms. Pelosi was the gutsiest woman in American politics and had fought for her values and ideals. "I think Nancy Pelosi is the gutsiest woman in politics right now," she said. Ms. Clinton also compared her to the late Queen Elizabeth. The U.S. will send Ukraine about $500 million in ammunition and equipment and spend more than $2 billion to buy an array of munitions, radar, and other weapons for that country in the future, the White House announced Tuesday, as Ukrainian troops prepare for a spring offensive against Russian forces. Much of the ammunition will be taken from military stockpiles so they can be in the war zone quickly, including US-provided HIMARS, air defense interceptors, and artillery rounds that Ukraine is using to defend itself, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement. HIMARS are multiple rocket launchers. The package, like many of the previous ones, is pushing forward more 155 artillery rounds as Ukraine burns through that stock fighting back against Russia's ground invasion. The immediate assistance includes anti-armor systems, small arms, heavy equipment transport vehicles, and maintenance support, the Pentagon said in a statement. Tennessee Republican lawmakers took the first steps Monday to expel 3 Democratic members from the GOP-dominant House for their role in a recent gun control protest at the state capitol. The extraordinarily rare move resulted in a chaotic and fiery confrontation between lawmakers and supporters opposing the move and has further fractured an already deep political division inside the Tennessee legislature. Resolutions have been filed against Representative Gloria Johnson, Justin Jones, and Justin Pearson after they laid chants from the House floor with supporters in the gallery last Thursday. The resolution declared that the 3 had participated in disorderly behavior and did knowingly and intentionally bring disorder and dishonor to the House of Representatives. Republican Representative Bud Huxley, Gina Bulso, and dishonor to the House of Representatives. Republican Representative Bud Huxley, Gina Bulso, and Andrew Farmer filed the resolutions. They successfully requested Monday that the House expedite the process and vote on the resolutions Thursday. Ivanka Trump's marriage to Jared Kushner is coming apart at the seams, RadarOnline.com has learned, as sources say the sniping spouses are at each other's throats amid Donald Trump's indictment drama. It's all falling apart, dished an insider, calling their relationship toxic. They are always fighting and can barely contain their growing animosity for each other even when they appear in public, the source said. Sources squealed the once rock-solid 13-year union began to crumble after Donald lost the 2020 presidential election, triggering the January 6 Capitol Hill insurrection. Jared recognized Donald had become radioactive and he pushed Ivanka to abandon her father for the sake of their own reputations and the future of their children, Apple shared. They still have grand ambitions and consider themselves card-carrying power brokers. But Jared knew if Ivanka continued to stand by her dad, all of his big business connections would go out the window, the source explained. As RadarOnline.com reported, Ivanka declared she didn't want anything to do with her dad's 2024 presidential campaign, even after he begged her to back him. In the days following the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, a group of investigators fell ill while looking into the chemical exposure of residents. 15 investigators from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry were wrapping up their probe of chemical exposure Monday in the East Palestine area. But just a few weeks ago, 7 of those investigators themselves may have experienced exactly what they were looking into, the agency confirmed to the Columbus Dispatch, part of the USA Today network. On March 6, 7 investigators reported feeling sick and said they experienced a sore throat, headache, coughing, and nausea, according to the CDC. The symptoms are consistent with what some residents and responders have reported in surveys the CDC has been conducting in and around the town that sits on the edge of the Ohio and Pennsylvania border. News of the illnesses, which showed up a little more than a month after the derailment, was first reported by CNN. The CDC's assessment of chemical exposure was set to end Monday in East Palestine, according to the agency. A one-time chief of staff for former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan died Monday after being shot when FBI agents confronted him in a manhunt launched when he failed to show up for trial on corruption charges, his lawyer said. Attorney Joseph Murtha said the FBI confirmed Roy McGraw's death to him. He added that it was not immediately clear if McGraw's wound was self-inflicted or came during an exchange of gunfire with agents. William Brennan, an attorney for McGraw's wife, Laura Bruner, also confirmed the death and said she was absolutely distraught. According to an earlier email from FBI Supervisory Special Agent Shane Butchwald in Maryland, McGraw was wounded during an agent-involved shooting about 6:30 p.m. in a commercial area on the southwestern outskirts of Knoxville, Tennessee. Butchwald said McGraw was taken to a hospital but did not elaborate. Further details, including how McGraw was wounded and what led up to it, were not immediately released. The shooting was under investigation. Harry Styles, Post Malone, Lizzo, Doja Cat, Megan Thee Stallion, the cast of Ted Lasso, and the web series that gave us a kid-loving corn are among the nominees for this year's Webby Awards, recognizing the best internet content and creators. The International Academy of Digital Arts and Sciences announced the nominees on Tuesday, the result of nearly 14,000 entries from 70 countries. Styles nabbed a nomination for his commercial for AirPods, Trevor Noah for his segments filmed between the scenes at The Daily Show, and BTS fans for their YouTube uploads called My BTS Story. Lizzo got one for her hosting her show Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls, in which she hunts for dancers. Doja Cat's reluctant social video for Taco Bell's Mexican pizza. I like my pizza with refried beans, peep my ad, search YouTube, this ain't even Mexican food, was nominated for Best Advertising Partnership and faces off in that category with a collaboration between Ted Lasso and FIFA 23. Nominees include Racist Therapy, the show that highlighted 7-year-old corn-loving Tariq, Post Malone's listening experience for 12 Carat Toothache, and a VR concert by Megan Thee Stallion was nominated for Best Metaverse, Immersive or Virtual Performance. Now it's time for global updates. Finland formally joined NATO on Tuesday, its flag unfurling outside the military bloc's Brussels headquarters, in a historic policy shift brought on by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, drawing a threat from Moscow of countermeasures. Finland's accession, ending 7 decades of military non-alignment, roughly doubles the length of the border that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization shares with Russia and bolsters its eastern flank as the war in Ukraine grinds on with no resolution in sight. Finland's flag, a blue cross on a white background, was hoisted alongside those of the alliance's 30 other members as a military band played in bright spring sunshine. For almost 75 years, this great alliance has shielded our nations and continues to do so today, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg declared at the ceremony. But war has returned to Europe and Finland has decided to join NATO and be part of the world's most successful alliance. Stoltenberg earlier noted that Russian President Vladimir Putin had cited opposition to NATO's eastward enlargement as one justification for invading Ukraine. A large fire has gutted thousands of shops at a popular clothing market in the Bangladeshi capital Dhaka, with shop owners devastated by the loss weeks before Eid, the Muslim festival marking the end of Ramadan. Hundreds of firefighters and army personnel battled the inferno as it tore through the clothing market, turning it into a pile of ashes. The blaze was brought under control at 12:45 p.m. local time, more than 6 hours after it started at Bangla Bazar market early on Tuesday. Several people have been injured, but no deaths have been reported so far. Authorities were still trying to figure out the cause of the blaze. At least 4,000 shops, mostly made of tin and wood, were completely gutted in the fire. Bangla Bazaar, managed by the Dhaka South City Corporation, has a long history of fire hazards. According to official data, there were at least 6 small to medium fire incidents in the market in the past decade. An avalanche swept away a group of tourists in the Himalayas in northeastern India on Tuesday, killing at least 7 and injuring 11, officials said. Army spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Mahendra Rawat said rescuers pulled out at least 23 tourists from the snow and took them to a hospital for treatment. India's Border Roads Organization said the tourists were hit by the avalanche near the Nathula mountain pass in Sikkim state. A video released by the Indian Army showed rescuers digging through the snow to find an undetermined number of missing people swept away by the avalanche down a mountain slope. Nathula Mountain Pass is along the border with China and is a major tourist destination. The ecologically sensitive Himalaya region, which has been severely affected by global warming, is prone to avalanches. Last year, 27 trainee mountaineers were killed in an avalanche in the northern Uttarakhand region. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock close price is 15,487.75. The NYSE composite is increased by 112.84 points or 0.73%. Tokyo stock close price is 28,287.42. The Nikkei 225 index is increased by 99.27 points or 0.35%. Shanghai stock close price is 3,312.5578. The Shanghai Composite Index is increased by 16.16 points or 0.49%. Hong Kong stock close price is 20,274.59. The Hang Seng Index is decreased by 134.59 points or 0.66%. Bombay stock close price is 59,106.44. The Sensex Index is increased by 114.92 points or 0.19%. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. After 6 games and 240 minutes of pure dominance that ran through March, then part of April, it finally became clear there was only one thing that could stop the Yukon Huskies, the final buzzer. The team from Stars, Connecticut, topped off one of the most impressive March Madness runs in history Monday night, clamping down early, then breaking things open late to bring home its 5th national title with a 76-59 victory over San Diego State. We knew we were the best team in the tournament going in, and we just had to play to our level, said Dan Hurley, who joined Jim Calhoun and Kevin Ollie as the third coach to lead UConn to a title. UConn's lanky star forward Adama Sanogo won most outstanding player honors, finishing with 17 points and 10 rebounds in the final. Tristan Newton also had a double-double with 19 points and 10 boards. A Kentucky high school football player who suffered a head injury during a scrimmage last week has died. The Kentucky High School Athletic Association said Monday in a statement on Facebook that it joined family, friends, and teammates in mourning the loss of Pulaski County High School varsity football player Andrew Dodson. No words can explain, justify, or rationalize tragedies such as this, the association wrote. Alan Dodson told the Lexington Herald Leader that his son was running the ball during his team's spring game when he was tackled by a teammate. It was not a violent hit or helmet to helmet. It was a simple, clean tackle, Alan Dodson said. His head hit the turf and Andrew suffered blunt force trauma to the brain. Andrew Dodson played tight end and defensive end for the Maroons during his junior season, WKYT reported. First Lady Jill Biden said Monday that she wants the defeated Iowa women's basketball team to be invited to the White House in addition to the national title winner Louisiana State University. She watched LSU's 120-85 victory over Iowa from the stands on Sunday night. Biden, speaking at the Colorado State Capitol in Denver, praised Iowa's sportsmanship and congratulated both teams on their performance. I know we will have the champions come to the White House. We always do. So we hope LSU will come, she said. But you know, I'm going to tell Joe I think Iowa should come too, because they played such a good game. The White House didn't immediately respond to a request for comment about whether President Joe Biden would also extend a White House invite to Iowa and whether it would be a joint visit with LSU or a separate engagement. Following LSU's victory, Tigers coach Kim Mulkey said she would go to the White House if the team was invited. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest update. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.